I had put together all the stuff for the new reframe segments that you've been seeing come out, the lower third and, new graphic and all that other stuff. And it dawned on me that having set all that up, I could just as easily use the exact same stuff pretty much to go live. Obviously, it's a little rough right now. I'm also trying, if you can see the box here that is currently in front of my hand, that should be a working chat box, but this is the first time I've used it actually live, so forgive me. The point of the show over there today, we're going to be talking about spotting and stopping disinformation. It springs out of actually a Twitter conversation I had earlier today. Let me know if you are hearing that obnoxious echo. I seem to have picked up an echo somewhere, and I don't know if it's going out or not. If it is, I'll try to fix it. But in the meantime, let me see here if this works. Doesn't. Oh, well, what the hell if I did that? Yeah, it doesn't look like that went through. Let me see here just to find out. See what's going on over here. If that is in fact picking up. Okay, so I don't think I'm looking at it in the right place. Bear with me. I appreciate y'all watching. Yeah, hit me with a chat on my page at /JohnHenryUS on Facebook if you need to communicate with me directly. My chat window isn't working right now, and I'm not going to waste time live fixing it. We'll work on that maybe later. The conversation that I had on Twitter earlier today, I had run across this meme a few times. Let me get that up for you here. We're gonna kill that one. There we go. So I ran across this. You can see that the basic premise here is that a Nissan ad popped up on some ridiculous right-wing neo-fascist stream, which fundamentally the primary question should be, why are these people being platformed if you object that strongly to there being advertising on their platform? Okay. That question isn't addressed in the tweet. And I understand this. I'm not familiar with this person, and I want to be really, really careful here at the beginning because there's somebody else's name involved. I'm not asking anybody to mob this person and go blah, blah, blah. As a matter of fact, that's exactly the opposite of the point that I'm going to be making during this video. And so please, this is not torches and pitchforks, and I'm not, trying to get in anybody's face. This whole thing happened like on Cake's timeline. I have nothing against Cake. I like Cake, the band. It's not about that. And in fact, it's exactly the opposite of that. I see this information and it doesn't ring true to me. It doesn't ring, there's some red flags here that I want to talk about. And when you bring it up, there become a lot of more red flags. And we're going to talk about that too. So the basic premise is, these folks said, hey, I saw your ad on a YouTube video and we want you to not do that. And Nissan said, hey, it doesn't work that way on YouTube. It's not like television advertising when we go, yes, we'd like to buy 5 minutes on this show for this week. They buy ad time, and that time is assigned to very broadly defined interest groups via algorithm. There's no connection between, there can be, but there isn't in this case, at least according to Nissan. They're not using mechanisms to sell directly or to buy directly from channels. So fundamentally, there's just, it's a basic error in concept. Okay. The bottom line is that this is not the way to get Nissan's ads off of this channel, because Nissan themselves asserts they have no control. And this lines up. Now, I've been working with Google's ad products for about 15 years. Way back in the day, I was actually one of the, when they started doing the community advisor volunteer stuff, I was like one of the very first teams of those folks on the AdSense forums over at Google back in like 2008, 2009, non-disclosure agreement, the whole 9 yards. And so I've been working with stuff for a long time, and I understand the nature of how it goes. And as a general rule, that's not something that you can do, very easily, at least. especially for a company of the size of Nissan that may be running multiple campaigns with multiple ads that may have, hundreds or thousands of active advertisements on YouTube at any one point. And as you see later on when we'll get into a different part of the conversation, fixing that isn't necessarily as easy as some folks would like it to be. With all that said, the possibility exists that I'm wrong, that something has changed, that they have more control that they're comping to, and I've reached out to find out more about that. But in the meantime, as far as I understand it, there are tools that you can use to even go in and you have to go ad by ad or campaign by campaign or whatever, piece by piece, and for each piece, go in and directly block this channel, this specific user channel to a maximum of 10,000, which means no matter what happens, a company the size of Nissan isn't going to be able to block all of the channels that somebody would have a problem with their ads being on. It's not possible. It's mechanically not possible. Okay. And maybe the guy I say, hey, this isn't how it works. You're making a mistake. And I appreciate that the person is well-intended and they want to do a good thing. They want to, leverage the power of social media and the crowd, to reach out and say, hey, we don't like this. We want you to change to this. We don't want your company to be funding these people, which is the way we traditionally think of advertising, and still has some validity, but is a much less direct situation most of the time when you're talking about online advertising. And so I point this out, and so on and so forth, and immediately hear people start jumping in, and you get the wrong button. Sorry. Let me get back over there where I'm supposed to be. And we'll take a look here. I believe the next one. Okay, so then all of a sudden you get, other people, of course, it's Twitter, you get other people jumping into the conversation and so on and so forth. And, this one dude came in and, he was just a dick. And that's why I've erased the names, because I don't want somebody trying to go, oh my God, he called the crowd after me, when that's not what I'm trying to do. But this guy was just a real case. He comes in to the conversation with, it's extremely easy task for any mid-level paid media account manager to do. I can guarantee that blah, 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 me, I'm so cool, I know so much, blah, 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 blah. Right. And like I said, I've been working directly with Google's ad products for a decade and a half, basically. Yeah, not since they launched, but it was, 3-4 years after it started. People started putting ads on their blogs and stuff. I finally succumbed and went, well, I could use the money. We'll try it. And I've been involved ever since. Okay. So it's not like I'm just stumbling blind into this or trying to be a pedant or trying to be a troll. I'm trying to make a valid point, which is that, hey, well-intended person trying to do a good thing, you may be stepping on your own feet here. You might be making a mistake. You may have misjudged the situation. Take another look at it, maybe. And of course, this was the third or fourth time I had seen this meme in the last day or so. And when I saw it on Cake's page, which is a big, huge page with a big, huge following of a lot of left-wing people, I really felt that it was, kind of my duty to step and say, hey, wait a minute, this is maybe not everything you think. So the number one point is that, right? This tweet that was issued. And like I said, I don't know anything up or down about the source of all of this person who made the original tweet. This starts with confirmed and asserts that Nissan is refusing to pull their ads, which, again, I keep seeing that retweeted. And if you study marketing and advertising and compliance gaining tactics and propaganda and disinformation and misinformation tactics, you understand that these kinds of giant all caps confirmed, right? We're establishing credibility and we're setting ourselves up as though, we have a clear picture of something when that manifestly may not be the case. And certainly the information presented does not suggest that Nissan is stonewalling or pretending that they can't, they're not being hostile and dismissive. They're saying, hey, look, this is just the ad system that we use, and unfortunately it serves ads on those videos. And again, they can make some decisions. I think they could probably decide to not have their ads on any political content, right? But you can't break it down to left versus right. I checked those filters out today in my own accounts. Unfortunately, I can't set up a campaign right now because I don't have any money. And I don't want to risk it billing me when I don't have any cash. And I don't know if I'd be able to reach the tools I really need without an active campaign. But yeah, I don't want to wander down a rat hole on this. I want to get to the point. But so this, I just again wanted to say out loud, I don't know who this person is, but immediately the tone of the tweet is very kind of sensationalist and, hey, look at me, look at me. It starts to immediately smell like clickbait. Now, the unfortunate reality is we're in 2022, and if you want people's attention, that's what you got to sound like. I did what I could to kind of warn you about all that 12 years ago, 10 years ago, and throughout my whole career that I've been doing this, and people to listen. You like that serotonin charge and, those endorphins that you get from feeling like you're part of something and having your biases confirmed and having famous people, make you feel like the things you believe are good. And there's nothing wrong with all of that. But when you allow your emotional connection to it to short circuit your intellectual evaluation of it, you start to run into trouble. And the kind of trouble that you're running into is the kind of trouble that one day you wake up and all of a sudden you're the bad guy. And you didn't even see it coming. That's what I'm really trying to prevent here. And trying to help you understand how to get around. So let's get back to, so we had these secondary responses. You saw Mr. Rude Guy. One dude jumped in and he's like, well, I know this and I know that. But then he never follows up and he doesn't provide any kind of supporting evidence that he knows anything. His bio says he's been a programmer for 30 years or, a software engineer for 30 years. That doesn't mean he knows the first thing about AdSense or AdWords or online advertising in general. It just means he's another person on the internet with an opinion, And then this other dude jumps in, and I'm kind of singling him out, the one that's highlighted in red there. And like I said, his tone right off the bat is, oh, well, this is easy and any mid-level, blah, 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 blah. Like, it didn't bring a ruler, dude. Put it back in your pants. This is just a question. It's conversation. It's hey, maybe we should look closer at this, and every possibility exists that Nissan could be doing something about it and is refusing to. Every possibility also exists that Nissan could be doing something about it and doesn't realize it. As far as I know, they're right. But I also could be wrong, and I accept that possibility. It doesn't diminish me as a human being or make me feel like a failure or anything, I swear that's one of the things, I don't want to get off on a rant, but we really need to learn how to be wrong in this culture. We have no capacity whatsoever to gracefully just say, okay, I was wrong. I'm going to learn from this and move forward. And let that be the end of it. There always has to be recrimination. So, yeah, this is where this guy jumps in. And this is where our conversation diverts into how other people in the crowd prop up disinformation and help validate it without even realizing that they're being part of the problem. In this case, Homeboy jumped in here and just wanted to wave himself around. Be all Mr. I know everything. And whatever, it's the internet, it's Twitter, you expect some of that crap, right? But I'm like, okay, so post a screenshot of the tool. Just, you're the expert. You obviously work with this stuff every day. You know more than I do about what I'm talking about. So please just show me a screenshot of how you go into your Google AdWords account and specifically say, I don't want any of my ads to show up on this YouTube channel ever. And then let's talk about how radically ridiculous it would be to expect any company, even one the size of Nissan, to dedicate full-time staff and a full-time process to going through and physically blocking channels one by one on demand of their customers. Part of the whole reason those ads get sold is the idea that they don't have to play those silly ass games. That's YouTube's job to filter their content. right? And that becomes a very careful balancing act too, because it doesn't take a whole lot of room or a whole lot of argument, disingenuous or not, to toss me off of YouTube under the same rubric that they would use to toss off Stuart Rhodes or whatever. And so you have to be really, really careful about how you do that stuff. And as a consequence, there's content on YouTube you don't like. And sometimes there's going to be advertising on it that comes from companies that don't agree with the content of those videos. That's what happens. It's part of that process, right? They're going after the wrong problem if they really think that content, is something that major corporations should be ashamed to be associated with, and they should be asking the platform why it's allowed to be there. Right? If it's that harmful, and this isn't just a matter of I don't like it, which I agree it's harmful, okay, but it's also reasonable to want to double check. Okay, so you have to make a case and then say they shouldn't be on your platform. Right? Going to the people that consume, part of the product that's offered on that platform by selling advertisements in giant bundles to algorithms that just toss them out based on various criteria over which you have limited control, is not an effective way to approach solving that problem. Okay. And that's the whole point. And as a secondary point, you're going after this giant company and making them look really bad, and they may not deserve it. That's not cool, right? That's how you get that crappy reputation when activists start talking. That's how you get the reputation of, going off too soon and hurting people without caring about it and not being careful about what you do, is because now all of a sudden Nissan's got to answer for this, and they may not have any had done any great harm or involved themselves deliberately in any badness here. It may literally be either our advertisements are going to show up or we don't like it sometimes, or we can't advertise on this platform at all. And fundamentally, that's what it comes down to, because there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like something. That's, the fact that I happen to agree in this case ideologically very strongly that this kind of, content shouldn't be propagated. The reality is that there's a whole lot of people that feel the same way about, Disney movies. So, and so I can't expect that, even though I'm well convinced of my position, and the moral righteousness of it, it's not reasonable for me to expect, YouTube or anybody else to start setting policy based on what I think. And that's fundamentally what it comes down to. You have to be able to make the case that this is a situation where you can objectively say this content violates a standard, should not be on this platform, it should be removed. You can't go, your advertisers are the problem. Let's stop buying Nissans because their ad showed up on this YouTube channel, which is kind of the implication here. And it's not necessarily, again, I'm not inside of any of this stuff. I'm not the other guy in the comments going, well, I know for sure. I don't know for sure. What I do know for sure is how these systems generally work. And it ain't like this. That's all. And so there's some misdirected energy and some misdirected anger, and potentially some innocent people are going to get hurt. And the people responsible will end up looking really bad and feeling really bad. Plus, the people they're fighting will use this as a weapon against them later, and a weapon against all of us later. Especially when you start getting to the level of, again, the band Cake. They've got, whatever, a few 100,000 people following around. I think maybe a couple of million. I didn't look. But they're Cake. I know who they are. You probably know who they are, too, if you heard their songs, even if you don't recognize the name. So when you have that kind of reach, it becomes important to be, a little extra diligent about how you're handling your information, and how you're taking the responsibility of informing people seriously or not. That's all. And it's in no way do I intend or am I trying to scold Cake or any of that crap, right? I'm just trying to get this stuff out and into your heads and help you understand why it's important. And also with this fella in the comments here, so let me get back to him, because this is important too. This guy is a dink. You know what I mean? And he comes out, and the way he talks, it's like all of a sudden, well, yeah, he's right, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And, click that like button, then you start thinking about it, right? First of all, the guy never in any way establishes any, reason to think that he's an expert in any of this or whatever, right? He comes out with this condescending, everybody knows, and mid-level this and mid-level that, and whatever, okay? And then he jumps in again with, honestly, I'm just embarrassed. And he copies and pastes a little section of the help screen that anybody can access, including me. That describes part of a process to block your ads. And if you look closely at it, which I don't really have it on screen for that, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it basically goes through how to exclude your stuff. And it's all about, giant things. And if you want to exclude a specific, then you have to go into, these ad placements one by one, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? There is a process. There appears to be a process there. And again, it may well be that Nissan has the ability to block that channel easily, quickly, and without having to invest multiple full-time employees to constantly monitor everything, to make sure that, they don't appear on anything offensive that might be offensive to anybody, which is everything. Again, it gets to be a rat hole. And I'm certainly no defender of capitalism, but I can absolutely understand where if I'm running a business, I don't want to spend $8-10 million a year employing people to do absolutely nothing but review YouTube channels. Somebody has complained about it, to try to understand if we as a corporation can take an objective view that these channels are or are not acceptable to advertise on, and then go through the mechanical process of blocking each and every one of them individually until we reach the built-in limit of 10,000, which is a tiny sliver of the content on YouTube. It's ludicrous to expect that approach in that situation, and that's why these systems are set up the way they are. No company anywhere has the resources to handle that. And so it's barking up the wrong tree. That's all. And again, I'm not trying to, be a jerk or be hostile or wave my fist in anybody's face or anything like that. I'm trying to say you're making a mistake, and maybe take a look at it, because it might come back and bite you in the ass and make you look bad later on if you're not careful. And so then we get into how the social reinforcement of disinformation, fed largely by egos. And honestly, I don't know, the consideration definitely crossed my mind that this is some kind of a, AstroTurf campaign targeting Nissan, or targeting YouTube, or targeting AdSense. Somebody's out to deliberately make somebody look bad. I doubt that, but it's within the realm of possibility. And when you start seeing this kind of behavior pop up, that probability seems more and more plausible, right? Because now all of a sudden you've got, this guy's going to come in and he's going to do the defending, even though the original poster isn't there. And then when he says something that's indefensible, he disappears, and another somebody comes in and tries to divert the conversation into something else that can't be defended. And when you ask them about that, they put up a bunch of nonsense information. They try a gish gallop, which is what this is, right? Just throw information out and don't bother paying close attention to it enough to realize that it doesn't validate the point that is trying to be made with it. Right. And the arrogance, the attitude, like, oh, I'm just so embarrassed for you. Dude. Really? Idiot. Anyway, it's not about that guy, but it's just the whole thing right now. We have called into question the validity of just even asking an honest question, right? Because somebody decided that they had to come in and make ego out of it, or somebody decided they had a vested interest somehow. I don't understand the emotional connection that prompts this kind of response. Okay, I have to say that up front. I don't get it. I have no idea why this dude even jumped into the conversation. First of all, he clearly doesn't understand what he's talking about nearly as well as he would like me to think he does. And second of all, he's got nothing to say, right? All he's doing is arguing the original point, which I already said. I don't think this is the case. Maybe we should be taking a better look at this before we start to boycott Nissan, right? And fundamentally, the whole conversation goes to the deeper conversations that we're always having about just the integrity and clarity and what you can trust about people online. And when activists, and again, I have no idea who this original poster is. I have nothing for or against them. I don't know anything about them, and this has nothing to do with them personally. But when you start to allow yourself to be dragged over that line where you're maybe not looking as closely as you could because you think you got something in your hand that's going to drive traffic, you're losing sight of the whole reason that you're there in the first place. You're letting the money do the thinking for you. I need that traffic. I need those numbers. Believe me, I get it. Okay. I mean, I starve. Facebook stars, hey, I mean, I don't eat, and Facebook stars won't help anyway. Use PayPal if you're going to do that. But, yeah, it's not that they don't help. Facebook stars you don't get right away. I'll go down to that rat hole a little later in the show, maybe. Right now, I want to focus on this because I really want to discourage people from acting like this. Okay. And if the dude had been right or even close to it, then fine. But the problem is that this guy, he comes off first with a condescending attitude, and we'll get to how he tried to end that up in a minute. He comes off first with everybody knows and mid-level this and common and so forth. Oh, you silly little fellow. You obviously don't know anything about this. And then when I say, okay, so post me a screenshot of the tool and tell me how to do it. And then he posts this help file, which does not tell you how to do what he's saying can be done. It tells you how to do a similar thing, but it's not the same thing. What these people are envisioning is that you can just go into your account and go, I don't want to have my ads on this channel. Boom. And then they're all gone. And that's not how it works. Right? It's campaign by campaign. It's, some ad agencies have hundreds of customers, all of whom have different values. They maybe have one customer that loves Alex Jones's audience. They maybe have another customer that loves Keith Olbermann's. Those two client bases aren't necessarily going to get along, but that agency handles both of them, right? There's a lot of overhead involved here that people aren't thinking about. And again, it's not that I'm trying to sit here and be like, oh, you're wrong, ha, 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 I'm smarter than you. I don't give a crap about that nonsense. I hate it that people think in those terms because I have to constantly defend myself in those terms, and I'm really sick of it. It's not about that. It's about this is bad information, or at least potentially bad information. And in any event, somebody is wrong here, right? Maybe Google is wrong, maybe Nissan is wrong, maybe this poster is wrong, but somebody is wrong here. This does not add up. Okay. But anyway, this guy, again, jumps into the conversation, and we're going to keep this going. And now what people are going to remember, and he even got a like from, the band on this crap, right? Like, oh, well, you sure told him. Well, wait a minute, fellas. This isn't who gets the better giggles off their tweet message. If I wanted to play that game, I could do it all day long. I mean, I realize it doesn't mean a whole lot to a lot of people out there, but I spent, 3 years in the professional wrestling business, and part of my job there was to pick up a microphone and make people hate me. Okay, if I want to sit here and troll and needle people, believe me, I can do it a lot better than this. All right. But anyway, this dude is going off on his thing. And the thing that I wanted you to catch in the end with him, because I called it as out on, of course, like your attitude sucks. There's no reason for you to be coming at me with all this everybody knows and mid-level blah, 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 right? You're just trying to make yourself look cool. Shut up. I didn't even say that to him. It's like, nah. And so then he comes back and cancel. We'll kill that real quick. And we're going to get rid of this dude in a second. But this is where I start going, what, do you work for these fucking people? What's going on here? This is, again, right? My first reply wasn't condescending. Well, nonsense. Now we're going to gaslight with, why are you here? Right? And I'm not pulling this out to pick on this dude. I could give the last damn about this guy. Right? What I'm trying to get across to you is don't act like this. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about clearly, and he's blustering and trying to BS his way through a conversation that he's not necessarily qualified for, or if he thinks he is, he needs to reassess. Right? because the information that he provided does not support the assertion that's made in the original meme. It does not justify calling out Nissan, right? And in the bigger picture, again, I started adrift on this before. The original poster, now all of a sudden, again, I don't know who they are, but now I question them. Now I question them. Why are they in this? Why did they let this slip? Why is their standard not higher here? Is it a genuine mistake? Or do they just care more about getting the traffic from calling out Nissan? I don't know. I have, like I said, I have no idea who these people are, up or down, one way or the other. I've got a big block in front of my face. Sorry about that. Let me get rid of that. But yeah, this is, Captain Chaos over here trying to gaslight and blah, blah, blah. Just, please, God, don't be that guy. Just stop it. Nobody is impressed by that crap. Nobody is impressed by that crap. And the worst thing is when people act like that, then somebody who does have, legitimate qualification comes along and you go, well, what's your problem? And then, how do you know? Who are you? And they can't respond without sounding like that asshole. You're killing discourse out here. And that, as much as anything, is what is driving this disinformation problem. Is everybody thinks having a right to an opinion means they have an obligation to assert it, and also a right to insist that other people respect it as fact. That's not how this works, guys. That's all. And yeah, I mean, when you're running a page even the size of mine, you've got an obligation to check your stuff. You have to be careful. You're putting things in other people's heads, and I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. I didn't do what this other person did, right? I didn't just jump and go, oh my God, cake, you stupid bastards. How could you evil, how could you? Because that's not about the problem anymore. That's about me trying to play Billy Badass on the internet and draw attention to myself, which might put money in my pocket and might make my ego feel good, but it's not going to solve the problem. This is where we start getting into those bigger questions that I'm always talking about questioning motivations and why people are doing the things that they're doing, why it matters to ask, what is your interest in this? If I really cared about that dude with the mouth, I mean, it does make me curious. Like, why do you care so much about this? Why do why are you jumping up when you obviously are not nearly as plugged into it as you want me to think you are, right? Because if he was, he could have provided the screenshot. And that's why I asked for it, because I know that the tools that you need to do that, you have to not only have an active AdSense account, you've got to have an active campaign to even reach them. And if you don't have an active AdSense account or a AdWords account, then it's not very likely to me that you really know what the hell you're talking about. Put up or shut up, right? We've lost that standard. A lot of us allow ourselves to be shouted down, or we just decide the stupidity isn't worth it. And it's cutting our throats. It's hurting us. That's how we end up with Trumps. That's how we end up with Marjorie Taylor Greens and Lauren Boeberts and just all of it. Because we let our egos get in the way. And we just got to have something to say. And yes, I'm aware of the irony, but Jesus, this is what I do. Right? Most people do have other things that they do, or they claim to, jobs and things. This is my job. This is my career. Defusing propaganda and disinformation, helping other people as best I can understand how to avoid disinformation and propaganda, how to recognize it when you see it, how to break your own internal habits that help it spread. That's what I'm here to do. And I understand that that's not always a comfortable conversation to have. And, even as we speak, I'm working to kind of, adjust my tone a little bit and try to express a little more understanding for people just not quite catching on, because we're born into this, right? We've had that conversation here many, many times. In the year 2022, if you're under 40 years old, if you're under my age really anymore, your entire life has been a nonstop series of commercials. You're constantly surrounded by advertising. And so it is hardly surprising that these behaviors that are rooted in, the little emotional triggers and the little compliance gaining tactics that are so well used by advertising and advertisers, it's hardly surprising that we should find ourselves thinking in those terms on a broader basis. And we can't do that because it's not sense. Right? The whole point, the whole base of these kinds of things that get around your intellect is that they appeal to your emotions. They make you angry. They make you sad. They make you happy. They make you feel part of something. They identify something for you to be against, and therefore being part of that group that is against that thing. It's social engineering and it's appeal to ego. And so many scams are conducted under these processes. And so many of our processes and systems become broken because we get embarrassed about ourselves getting caught up in these things. Again, we don't know how to be wrong gracefully. These are the things that are hurting us. Right? And that is why a dumbass little Twitter meme in an argument with a moron is worth an hour-long video. So, I really do hope, and again, I can only get so far outside my own bubble, but I really do hope that I'm becoming more effective in getting across the idea that I'm not here to gratify myself or to make money. If I was, I'd be doing something else. I'm here because we've got major problems in the way that we handle ourselves. And part of those problems is we've been deliberately mal-educated. We have had our minds trained to not function properly, to be responsive consumers rather than critical thinkers. And that is why 95% of the political dialogue in the world today is controlled by 4 or 5 dozen loudmouth idiots throughout the spectrum, none of whom really know what the hell they're talking about, but they make boatloads of money doing it. Meanwhile, there's a few thousand people out there like me, at least, who are out here just doing the best we can with our legitimate expertise, knowledge, talent, skill, whatever, to try to make the world a better place, to try to help people understand things that maybe we see them manifestly not understanding. And we're out here struggling because these people suck all the air out of the room. And more importantly, because whether I live or die fundamentally is not important to the basic point. So more importantly, the fact that people like me out here are not able to survive and do our work doesn't get done. And then we slip another notch backwards. Lather, rinse, repeat. 40 years of my life, that's how our public education system has worked in this country. And that's why we are where we are. Make no mistake about it. The rise of Reagan meant that education was now primarily a job training system, and it has been being continuously deconstructed and rebuilt to meet that model ever since, up to and including this whole charter school crap, where you've got private for-profit companies, including churches, taking public money out of the public school systems and bringing it into their own systems so that just the right people can get the good education and the rest of the people can get the public education. And it's just the same stuff over and over and over again. You loop through it and loop through it and loop through it, and you realize that it's all tied together, and it all comes down to these kinds of thinking, right? It comes down to the kinds of thinking that induce you to go out and, start trying to call out major corporations without having first entirely thought through what you were saying. And it's the type of thing that drives you to jump into the middle of a conversation trying to mansplain things. All of that stuff. When I talk about the revolution you're looking for starts in the mirror, that's what I mean. And I want to make sure I'm clear. I in no way have ever suggested nor intended to that I myself am not susceptible to these quirks of human character and these weaknesses in human ego. I learned the language and the science of these things by going to school. I learned the lessons of these things by making a lot of mistakes along the way. I get it. Nobody likes to think they were wrong or they blew it or they got fooled or any of that stuff. I get it. We're all the hero in our own movie. But we got to start dealing with this stuff because it's poisoning us. And we've allowed ourselves in our interest in maintaining that self-image of infallibility, or at least a public image of infallibility. We've allowed that to override our better interests for so long that now it's very difficult not to get anything done because everybody's kind of trying to protect themselves and I don't want to look bad. I don't want to admit I was wrong. Nobody can be wrong because the minute you are, that's the end of you. You're terrible. And all of this crap is induced by the people that are profiting from it at the top, as usual. Right? The big media companies are selling plenty of news, 24/7 news channels and advertising and website clicks and on and on and on. And if you're willing to toss aside your conscience and just pander to people's biases, you can make a load of money too. Meanwhile, if you want to go out and tell the truth, which is not always comfortable, not always easy, not always flattering, people don't want to hear it because we're trained to not want to hear it because those things help us grow and they help us analyze ourselves and they force us to develop those critical thinking skills that are anathema to successful capitalism. Because if we're not susceptible to easy advertising and having our emotions tweaked, then it's harder for them to sell things to us. Big circles. And, as always, no conspiracy. It doesn't require a bunch of smoke-filled rooms to accomplish all this. It's all, the same few hundred people with the same educations at the same places, taught by the same, dogmas and pedagogies and at the same country club, on and on and on and on. Right? It's not a conspiracy. It's the way capitalism works. So this is one example of it. This is hopefully at the end, the whole conversation ties back together into that larger picture of what can we do as individuals to stop this decline. And one of the things that we can do as individuals is to start learning how to gracefully recognize our limitations. I understand that I might be wrong. I just want to know for sure. Because if Nissan is legitimately pretending to not be able to run, control these ads, and they really can, but they just don't want to give up the money, then yeah, I want to know that too. But right now I don't have the evidence to justify that assertion in front of me, and that assertion is being made. That's not fair, it's not right, it's not ethical, and it's not the way progressives should be acting or thinking. It's mob rule, pitchforks and torches, get mad. That's exactly the opposite of what we need to be doing with everything right now. As much as I enjoy a few pitchforks and torches myself now and then. So anyway, I've gone long tonight and kind of intended to do that. This is the first time that I've kind of run this setup, and I wanted to see how that looked. Also, I need to duck over here. I'm not seeing any comments coming through my page, although I do see people watching, and I'm not sure if people would if I would see people properly anyway. So since it's the end of this show, we're running out here and getting to the end of things. I'm probably just going to sit here muttering to myself and telling you all what's going on while I'm playing with various tabs and trying to make this chat pop-up work and things like that before I get out of here, because I actually have to be connected and have chat messages coming in to see if that works. I also... Man, I hope y'all aren't hearing that echo. I picked up an echo somewhere, and I don't know where, but boy, oh boy, is it irritating me to death. Let me get over here. I'm trying to get this plugin for OBS to work. I don't know if you can see it very well because it's on a dark background right now, but come on now. Okay, there we go. All right. So let me go ahead. I'm probably going to end up killing myself with bandwidth here. There we go. Okay, I see it just popped up. So let me get back over here. Yeah, there we go. I've still got to do some formatting there on that stuff. Sorry about that. I will fix that up over time. And there we've got a little pop up there. So I can do that stuff with comments now, which is kind of cool. Now I've got like 4 echoes in my head. Hang on, let me mute this crap so I can think. There we go. All right. So yeah, nifty stuff. I'm going to, going forward, for those few that are still hanging out, I'm assuming that most of y'all are among my regular fans and folks, and I appreciate you being here. I love you to death, and thanks. Like I was saying at the top of the show, I realized that in the process of creating all the stuff that I needed to make the pre-recorded reframe segments, I had actually set up to do almost everything I needed to do live. As we move forward with this stuff, I'm going to continue doing more of these because the nature of the format makes them pretty reactive. What I'm not going to do is turn every one of them into a 40-minute show. I'm still trying to keep these in that, 3 to 6 minute range kind of sweet spot. Hit the facts, hit the information, get it out there and get out. Tonight I wanted to have a little longer conversation since I'm here. It's the first time I've been on screen for a little while because I was picked up a ban and blah, blah, blah. Which, by the way, I was starting to go off on the whole Facebook, Facebook, whatever they call them. It'll come up in a minute. The little coins or tokens or smileys or hearts or let me see what it says. It'll come up anyway. The thing with those is they don't pay directly or right away, right? Something just dinged at me and I don't know what it was. Oh, well, Aaron just sent me 50 stars. That's what they are, Facebook stars. Thank you very much. So in theory, as this is supposed to work, that's 50 cents that I now have. Now with Facebook, it takes maybe 6-8 weeks to get that, right? Because it's wait to the end of the month, and then the accounting is done through the following month, and then it pays out after the first of the next month. At least I think that's how it's calculated. But it's at least like a 4 to 6 week wait, and I think it's 6 to 8 before you get money. So, yeah, anyway, that's a thing that you can do now, at least until I get in enough trouble with my big mouth that they take it away from me. In the meantime, of course, the Patreon account is still there. The PayPal information is still there. All that stuff is rotating around on the bottom of the screen. Yeah, I need it. I made a firm resolution a few weeks ago that I was just going to stop with the panic fundraising. But guys, that doesn't mean the panic is over. Yeah, it's tight and yeah, this is what I want to be doing and need to be doing, and what the world, I think, needs me to be doing, quite frankly. I'm not good at a whole lot of other things. I am good at this, and people keep telling me that they want me to keep doing it. and they want to see this stuff. And so I'm doing the best I can to keep doing it. But in order to do that, I got to be able to eat. I got to be able to pay the rent, keep an internet connection, and pay for software and all that stuff. Whatever help you can provide, thank you very much. I appreciate it. 50 stars is awesome. 5 million stars is awesome. Right. The stars are worth a penny each, by the way. I think I saw a thing. I don't know. The funding on that is a little weird. You reach like a certain level and then they start taking a small percentage. And then once you get up to like, I think it's a fairly high number, $200,000 or something like that, maybe $20,000. I don't remember exactly, but a fairly large amount through just Facebook transactions in general, right? Like if I do paid live events and things like that, once all of the amassed income from that amounts to a certain point, then they start taking like 20%. So as a long-term money making strategy, maybe not such a winner, but I suppose if I'm making $200,000, yeah, maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's not. I'll have to see when I get there. Right now, life is life, and God, I'm tired of talking about money. Is there anything else I wanted to cover while I'm live tonight? Yeah, there is. And by the way, hi, Aaron. My eyeballs. If you didn't catch the conversation about that earlier, some of you know, I think probably most of you know, a few weeks ago, I just woke up and my left eye was just completely misaligned, looking off in that direction. Like if I was looking at the camera, and there's a couple of videos up, if I was looking at the camera with this eye would be looking over here. Okay. And of course I freaked out. I didn't know if I was having a stroke or what the hell was going on. I went to the doctor, et cetera, et cetera. As it turned out, they believe that it's related to type 2 diabetes. As you can see, it has become, I'm basically at like 99% right now. If I get tired, it starts to drift and they start to get a little blurry. But generally speaking, I'm normal. Still, I need some follow-up done on that. But fortunately, I don't think anything is going to explode the next couple of days inside my head. So that's good news. And that's also, if you were wondering why it appears as though it just went away. Once I went to the doctor and they said, well, this looks like diabetes and it's probably going to be just physical therapy to get you back in order. I'm like, well, Jesus, I can do physical therapy just by... Right? I mean, I could make my eyes focus. It just hurt, and it was an effort. And so once it was clear to me that I could do that without causing further injury, then I just started doing it more. And as time passed, I could do it for 10 minutes at a time. Then after a week or so, I could do it for maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, an hour, and so on and so forth until you get to the wonderful functioning eyeballs that you see before you today. So yeah, that's where that is. And, depression and all that other stuff is up and down. It does what it does. Typically, as tends to be the case, right? I get a week off of Facebook. So I'm like, that always pulls the winds out of my sails and takes some energy out. This setup that I'm using right now, the reframe thing, which I've been doing, and now combining that with a live stream, I think is definitely going to be something I'm going to do a lot more of. You're going to see me pop up a lot more in this format with shorter videos where I just duck in and go, hey, here's this thing that's going on. I see a lot of conversation about it, and here's what I see going on that may help you kind of see through to the bottom and to the roots and understand things. Maybe not panic, maybe do panic, whatever is necessary at the time. That's kind of what I'm aiming for with this format, is to be able to do things on that level. I still want to do a once a week show more in tune with what this one has been tonight, hour long or so, and just mostly I'm going to run that one under the John Henry Show banner, and it's going to be the John Henry Show. It's going to be primarily about me, the things that I have done over the last couple of weeks, the contents that I've created, the things that I, news information, things that I've been coming across, thoughts, whatever. But that's going to be the one that's just kind of, for my fans, for the people who follow my page and are interested in the things I do generally. That'll be the hour a week that we sit down and shoot the shit. Hopefully, unless I get thrown off a platform. Obviously, As I've said many times in the past, if funding starts to come in at a significant level again, which it has not in a long time, I've been able to kind of get by just barely, and I appreciate that. I do. I'm not complaining, but it's also just as a real statement. It ain't enough to stay alive on, and some of the things that I've been relying on to stay alive on aren't available anymore. COVID rent relief is a thing of the past. I got to come up with money for rent. That's $500 a month, and right now I've got $200 to $300 a month coming in on average, if I'm lucky. I've had like $100 come in the last 2 weeks. And again, I love you. Thank you for that $100. It has kept me alive. It has put food in my stomach. But at the same time, you can't live on $2,600 a year, man. And so if you can do anything short of, send money, it's like, share, subscribe, stay tuned in. Guys, I'm doing the best I can to try to do a million jobs at once and get all these different kinds of content and stuff lined up. And so it's coming out and firing on a regular basis. This is not a one-man job. This is not a four-man job or person job. Excuse me, I'm old. This is the kind of gig that you bring in interns for and have a couple of full-time employees, and I got me and a 10-year-old computer, and I'm doing the best I can with it because I think the job needs doing, and I believe in what I'm doing, and I believe in my ability to do it. That's not arrogance. I am not conceited. I am convinced. I am well educated. I am well documented. I am well validated. I do not need to continue having that conversation. If you really want to know, read my stuff. If you're not convinced by the content as it is, sorry, move on. Get it from somebody else third or fourth hand when it trickles down. But the people who are paying attention know what's up, and I'm happy with that. So, wasn't that arrogant of me? Maybe, but false modesty is shit. It's ridiculous that people should feel like they're somehow committing a social faux pas by saying, well, no, actually, I do know what the hell I'm talking about. And it's like a 99.8 chance I know better than you. It's a shame that you even have to get that far in a conversation with people, because really, like I said, it should be self-evident, right? If you're talking to somebody who knows what they're talking about, you probably ought to know that. Maybe sometimes we don't, but again, that gets back to the whole failure of, education that I was babbling about earlier, right? And that's another one of those internet things. It's like you've got to reintroduce yourself to every new person that comes in. Oh yeah, here's my CV. Let's sit down for 5 or 6 hours and talk about my life history, and you can hear about the dysfunction in my family and my mental illness and my education and the years of activism in the wrestling business. Like, Jesus, guys, I got a website. That's what it's for. And beyond that, listen to people, right? It doesn't take too much. You don't have to listen to a guy like Dinesh D'Souza for very long to realize that he's an educated idiot. He's got a whole lot of verbiage going on and a whole lot of letters behind his name. He's got no heart, no soul, no ethics. And he's not very bright. But he knows how to repeat stuff. And that gains him some attention. And those are the habits that we got to break. And the way those habits take hold is that interpersonal, letting our egos get up in the way, and they're like, well, who are you? Well, okay, this is who I am. Well, that's not good enough. Okay, but who are you? Right? That's these people in this conversation that I was talking about earlier, especially that second guy, like, okay, well, what makes... I asked you I gave you the benefit of the doubt that you're an expert, and I asked you to provide your expertise, and you couldn't do it. I think it's fair now that I think you're full of shit. So I don't know. It's getting late. I'm getting rambly. I'm going to, it's getting to be winter time. Holy crap. It's only 7:30. It's already dark out. They keep on zipping by, don't they, kids? Anyway, yeah, I think that's all the babbling I'm going to do, or need to do, or feel the need to do, for now, at least. I didn't notice anybody chime in because I've been mentioning I've got an echo in my ear. I'm hearing things in duplicate, with a microsecond delay. that is a little bit distracting, but I don't know if it's going out. I don't know if that's what you're hearing out there. So if you are, or if you happen to hear it on the replay or whatever, please do leave a note in the comments. And like I said, this even though this was or started out to be at least a topical video, this particularly just because it's an hour long and most people aren't sitting around watching an hour long video, this wouldn't be the sort of thing that I would say, oh, share the hell out of it, even though it's got a good information in it. It's also semi-redundant information. Just kind of came up as a good, acute example that I thought I could play with a little bit, and it gave me an excuse to come out and say hi to everybody. But this isn't the kind of stuff that we need to be pumping and pushing around as hard as we can. But the shorter form stuff, the 3 to 6, maybe 10-minute videos, whether live or pre-recorded, what have you. Hey, I need your help, guys. We have to do organically what a whole lot of very powerful interests and organizations are doing artificially, and they have a lot more money than I do. So we have to replace what I would be unethically paying for if I was one of them with actual human beings that are liking and sharing and subscribing and been spreading it around and saying, hey, maybe you should listen to this guy. I've been listening to this guy for a couple of years. He really seems to know his stuff, and he doesn't get a whole lot of attention. Maybe you should listen to him. That's all. You'd be amazed. I can sit here blowing my own horn all day long. Believe me, it won't help, right? I just, it makes me sound like an arrogant snot. Like, oh, I'm so great. I'm so smart. Come on, listen to me. I immediately, even though I'm not, immediately when I start doing that, I start looking like one of those. Hey, I'm going to call on you and jack you off and make a whole lot of money, blowing smoke up your ass and make you feel great about yourself, even though you're completely full of crap. Send me money. No, that is the shit I'm trying to kill. Unfortunately, there's a lot of money in it and a lot of power in it, and it doesn't want to die. So we have to work together to end it and break the chokehold that this disinformation and propaganda and advertising that we have allowed to swallow our entire thought process is hurting all of us. So and I think that's gonna be it for me. Thank you very much, everybody who tuned in, dropped in, who's still hanging out. I haven't looked over at the browser window in a minute, so I don't know how many of y'all are still out there, but it looks like it's probably just like 2, 3, 4 people, at least on my channel. Either way, if there's one of you, I appreciate you being here, and thank you very much, and I appreciate your support. Please, please, please spread it around, like, share, subscribe. You know the drill, guys. This stuff does not change the world unless the world sees it, and I can't buy the ad space, so we got to do the hard work on the ground. So thanks once again for all that. I feel like I'm missing something. And that's a habit of mine, by the way. If you've been around me long enough, you'll notice when I have trouble saying goodbye and ending something, it's usually because somewhere in my brain I'm going, wait, you were gonna. I don't think so. The contribution stuff is down there in the corner. You see the Facebook stars. Again, thanks very much, Aaron, for helping me test both the stars and the on-screen chat. I appreciate that. Oh, hey, wait. I forgot I can do this too. Dun, dun, dun. Ta-da! Yay! I don't know how. Yeah, it doesn't seem to parse the text very well. You can see how that like reply pin send stuff, but still, yeah, it's a neat little script that I bought, and it's free. Replaces a little bit of functionality from being on Restream. So whatever, little things. I'm doing the best I can. Thanks very much for watching. What's going to happen going forward content-wise, other than the stuff that I usually do? I've got stuff backlogged and articles and writing that I need to do still. But beyond that, expect to see at least a couple, 3 of these short Reframe Live videos a week. I think that's just how I'm going to hold the Reframe basket for right now, see how it goes, rather than doing the pre-recorded stuff, because that is a bit of a production. I mean, it definitely, when you get, you break into Premiere and you have to drag everything out, do all the custom titles, blah, 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 you're still talking about an hour or so to kick out a 6-minute video, and that's too long sometimes. This, again, I've got the basic functionality, everything that I need that I can do just here live in OBS Studio, stream it, and then it's out there. I got the backup, because of course it records while I'm on. And so I can upload that to YouTube and other platforms to get it out there. So, other than that, thanks, as always, for keeping me alive and for continuing to let me have good reasons to believe that I'm not wasting my entire life out here on those better days when I can maintain that belief. And thank you for putting up with me on the days that I can't. The only way for people to learn how to be wrong gracefully is to see people being wrong and surviving it, living through it, noticing that, it didn't kill them. So hopefully that's part of the energy that I'm putting out in the world, that you don't have to be afraid to fail. You're going to. You don't have to be afraid to be wrong. You're going to be wrong. What you have to be afraid of is when you're wrong and you refuse to accept it. What you have to be afraid of is when you don't know what you're talking about and you don't have the ability to admit that to yourself because you're afraid of how other people will react to it. That's the problem. That's the revolution that starts in the mirror. So, love you guys. Thank you very much for hanging out for the 50th or 60th time. I'm going to get the hell out of here. JohnHenry.us, the Medium page, the YouTube stuff, the Twitter stuff, the Facebook stuff, the Obama page, the Antifa page. Thank you all very much for continuing to tune in. And, take care of yourselves. Do I have an outro scene set up? I think I do. Let me see if it works. We'll just do it that way with the scroll. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget that I am as independent media gets, and that means I'm 100% reliant on your engagements to spread the work around and get the word out so that we can try to turn humanity a quarter degree in a more sane direction. Don't forget also, if you stop on the website, johnhenry.us, and become a member or make a one-time contribution, there are various levels and benefits available, including having your name up here. You can sponsor a show or gain a production credit. Whole lot of stuff going on over there, different ways that you can help to support independent media and keep me able to do what I'm doing so that you can go do what you do. So thank you very much and have a great day.